Hi, welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. For my next build, I'm building the BAC Lightning Mk6 from Tamiya, scale 1 to 100. Now, I've decided to do a series of these small kits. I don't have many of these particular ones, the 1 to 100s in my stash, but I've got a lot of 172s in my stash. So I'm going to be doing a few of them for a while. So in this kit, we have the sprues. I think there's about 2 in here, possibly 3. Just open it up and find out. Some of the parts are off the sprue tree, so just have to be careful with that. So we have the canopy and one sprue, the fuselage and wing, the weapons, and the other main sprue is the other side of the fuselage and engine blocks and so forth, and landing gear. What this will be wheels up and not putting them wheels down. I'll be displaying these on a airfix stand, so a slight modification will be involved for that, as in drilling a hole. The instructions are a single sheet instruction for the place markings and the actual kit build itself. These don't take me long. I know a lot of people take a while doing this, put a lot of time and effort in it, which is great. I prefer to build straight out of the box and just how it's done from the instructions. I very rarely scratch build it. I can do it, but I like to do these kits straight out of the box, just to show you guys really how it's done, how I do it, not necessarily the right way. And decal sheet is a single decal sheet with looks like there's 2 options on here. I'll just open it up and have a look. Yeah, looks like Indian and UK. No, Saudi. My apologies. That's right. Yeah. So we've got the UK version, Saudi version, and I don't know, is that a France? I don't know. Let's have a look at this, the instructions. Doesn't tell you. Nope, doesn't tell me. So I'm not sure what these markings are. I'll have to look into that. But Saudi, UK, and something else. So, no time like the present. I'll get on with it. Start off with painting the nose cone. The outer shell is getting painted in 90 silver by Revit Aquacolor. Now this is going to be the predominant colour for the aircraft. And for the centre part of the cone, it's XF11 GN green, that's Japanese green. For the sight I'm using X1 black Tamiya, and as you can see it's painting most things on the sprue, especially the smaller parts, so this is just easier to handle. For the inner cockpit, it's XF20 medium grey, just a little bit here. There's no detail whatsoever in it. As I said on previous model, these are just straight out the box builds. I'm adding nothing to them. And then it's flipping it over and re-scribing the lines using my Tamiya's scriber, and just going over the lines, making them a little bit deeper. This just helps with making your panel lines if you decide to paint them in later on down the line. And once they're scribed, I use a pencil just to mark them out so they're nice and clear. Now people will use washes to do this and so forth, but I prefer a pencil. The reason for that is, one, it's easier to use, and two, if you make a mistake, it's easy to get rid of. So the first part to go on is the seat. It just sits in a little recess. Now it's time to bond the two fuselages together. They fit extremely well, which all those little Tamiya kits seem to do. They're fantastic. Hardly any clapping involved, just one clap at each end was enough. And when it was dry, just sanding down any little bars or seam lines, just starting off with a rough grit sanding stick, then moving down to eventually a fine one. Onto the wing now, and it's the same with the fuselage, just rescribing the panel lines, and it's time to put in the landing bay coverings, depending on whether you're having them open or closed. Then once that's done, I moved on to putting the other little parts on to the bottom of the aircraft. The forward landing bay covering was a perfect fit. In fact, all of it was a really good fit, nice and tight. Onto the top section of the wings now. On this kit, you have the option of having the bombs and missiles or whatever they are on the top of the kit. Now, on top of the wings, I should say. Now, these are how it's meant to be for this variant, but for me, it just looks stupid. How the hell did they fly these planes with these big bombs sticking on the top of the wings? It must have made a streamlined jet like the Lightning horrible to fly. So I've decided to fill in the holes. So I'm using my own filler here, and this is melted down sprue with glue in it. And what happens is the glue melts the sprue down and acts as a gooey mixture, and then that hardens into a solid plastic and makes an excellent filler. And the bottle there is just an old Tamiya extra thin glue bottle that I'm using. On goes the exhaust now, and the majority of that's painted in FX56 metallic grey. Next to go on is the two rear wings. Again, I think these have the option of moving. There's the contact point is just a ball point really, and the fitting's that good. If you want them to move, you don't need any glue, they just push in, but I'm having them static, so I've done a little bit of glue. Then the nose cone, be careful if you're putting this on, it goes a certain way, it is an odd shape, so make sure it's flush with the actual fuselage. You don't want to get this mixed up. Next process is to drill a couple of little holes for the display stand. I'm using an air fixed display stand, so just using my pin drive to make the holes, and painting the wings in red aquacolor 90 silver, and just a little bit putting the first coat on now. Try and get them as thin as possible as you're putting the coat on, especially when you're using aluminium and silver and so on. I noticed I didn't put the landing gear flaps in properly, so I just took them back out and repositioned them. Entirely my fault, nothing to do with the kit. On the top half of the wing, now the filler's dry, I'm just sanding it down. So again, like the seams, starting with a rougher grit news sand paper, and then going and working my way down. Applying the first coat to the bottom half of the aircraft. Again, red aquacolor number 90 silver. And once again, a thin layer, just covering it up. It's a good idea before you put the wings on, just so you make sure you can get every area and you're not impeded with the wings. And when the bottom was dry, I moved on to a little bit of the sides, just underneath the wing. Moving on to the canopy, and freehand painting this with Tamiya's X1 black. Now the canopy is really small, you can barely pick it up on the camera, especially with my hands in the way, but I find it easier to freehand paint these smaller canopies than masking them up. If you do it this way, don't worry about if you get paint over the edges, just use a cocktail stick and gently scratch away any excess paint. Time now to put on the main wings. Again, like the rear wings, the location points were brilliant. They just slot in with a minimum amount of cement needed. Hardly any pressure was required for these wings. Just very impressed with the escape so far. And once the cement was dried on the wings, it was time to paint. So again, I'm using Rebel Aquacolor 90 Silver, and then the canopy went on. As you can see, that is a very small canopy, as I said before, but it fitted perfectly. Next is to do a little bit of highlighting, so I'm using Tamiya's X32 Titanium Silver, and I'm doing this on the little panels, recesses and so forth on the aircraft, and it just brings up the silver background and gives it a less of a flatter look. On the tail there's a little bar of black that goes at the top, so I'm using Tamiya's X1 Black for this, just painting it in. I also used the same colour just to run a bead of paint down the hard edge of the tail as well. First coat of varnish is going on now, and I'm using Pledge Clear Polish for this, and just a thin layer of coat before I do make any changes. Two little probes, so I'm painting these in X32 Titanium Silver. One goes underneath the wing and the other one on the underneath the nose cone. Now the wings have a black border running around them, so what I did was, first of all, I masked off the area with Tamiya's 5mm curved masking tape, and then painted the area with the Aquacolor 90 Silver, and this acts as a light bleed block. Then once that was dried, I used Revell's 08 Black Matte to paint in the lines. Now the reason why I used the Revell one instead of the Tamiya was just because it's quicker to dry. That was the only reason. And once it was all dry, it's just a matter of peeling off the masking tape to reveal the small black lines. Now is the point to put on the decals, and the only negative comment I've got to say about the kit is the decals. They're extremely fragile, and practically every one I put on broke out. I managed to keep them together by they broke up in such a way, I should say, that when they went on, I was able to push them together to a degree where they were still readable. Now, for the purists out there, this will be very frustrating for them. For me, it wasn't so bad because I like a deep weathered look anyway, so I looked like a bit of chipping had happened here or there. So for me it worked out alright, but if you do have this kit, I would suggest either buying some more decals for it or maybe printing your own. Just scan the decals that you've got with the kit and then reprint them, because they do break up too easily. So that's the first side on. They look quite striking. It was just a shame that I had a problem with them. And now for the next side, and for under the wings. Now there's two options you can have on the decals here, depending on which one you want to do. One option was for Saudi Arabia, I believe. It definitely had our writing on it anyway. It said the roundels for the bottom or the underside of the wing, and then the top of the wings, the last decals to go on. So there you go. So they don't look too bad, even though a few of them broke up. I forgot to paint the black bar that goes on the front of the well, just down from the canopy onto the nose cone, so I'm doing that now. That's getting painted in Tamiya's X1 Black. Just freehand painting this, no need for masking tape. The last to go on is the probes and aerials, so the nose cone one is going on first, then the one under the wing, which is a lot longer one. Nice little recess to place it in. And once everything was dry, it was time to put on its final coat of varnish. So again, I'm using Pledge Clear Polish, and just a nice thin coat on everywhere. This brings this build to an end now. What a fantastic kit to build. Shame about the decals, but you can't have everything, I suppose. I highly recommend these Tamiya's 1 to 100 kits. I've not had a bad one so far. Great for beginners, great for experienced model builders. Whatever your skill level, you'll get something out of this kit. So if you have time, why don't you check out my other videos? There's various ones to have a look at. Leave comments, suggestions, what would you like? I'm always interested to hear what people have to say. But now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.